Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is... Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Zach Berg, and we're going to talk about how we met on the offer and his experience and journey in the film industry. So why don't we start with the basics?
Yeah,
Where are you from?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. This is really exciting. It's really cool.
Of course. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So I am actually originally from the East Coast.
Okay.
I grew up in Maryland, just outside of D.C.
I had a fake ID from Maryland.
Did you really?
Yeah. I'm
my
like,
gosh.
oh, good times. Yeah.
Did it have the little crab on it?
It did. I had never been.
Convincing.
Still haven't been, but I want to know more about it.
I highly recommend checking out the D.C. area in spring. Because basically D.C. has a ton of cherry blossoms. And so in the spring,
oh my god,
bloom.
I love cherry blossoms. Like, I'm obsessed. That's literally one of the reasons why I want to go to Tokyo, because I just want to see all the cherry blossoms. But I can go to Maryland. It's a lot closer.
No, so I mean, that time of year, they're blooming. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Don't super recommend the summer. It's very humid. Not as much as other places, but like it can be.
How's the film industry in Maryland? Like, is it?
I mean, it exists a little bit.
It exists.
I mean, in the sense of like, it's not like LA, obviously,
right?
Nor like somewhere like Toronto or Atlanta.
Yeah.
But like, there is production there, but mostly television. I mean, actually, AFI has a big headquarters there.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's actually...
So does Discovery.
Okay.
In fact, there's this big Discovery building in downtown Silver Spring.
Yeah.
That, at least for a long time when I was growing up there, during Shark Week, they put this giant inflatable shark, like head and tail on either side of the building.
Yeah.
And it was like a big advertisement.
You're like, well, I mean, I could see why, but that's really cool.
Yeah. But I would just say a lot of political shows will show up there. But no main filming. It's usually pickups and city shots and things like that.
Okay. Actually, I didn't even know that. That's really cool that it has something going on there.
Oh, yeah.
What about like theater? Is that like hopping over there at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably at a similar scale. Like, you definitely have a strong art scene in the DC area.
Okay, that's cool. Wait, I really didn't know that it had an art scene there. Like, when you talk film, it doesn't really come up that often.
No, well, especially because, I mean, it's not a large hub.
Yeah.
It's not like this. Like for theater, obviously you're going to go to New York or Chicago.
Yeah.
Probably maybe LA, but more those two places.
Right. So what made your decision on LA and not like New York?
Well, because I wanted to be in film, and like, while New York is great, I think there's a lot more TV production there, and it also just where I got into school. Okay, you're like, I just got it. Wait, so what school did you end up going? Yeah, so I ended up going to Chapman University.
Ooh, okay.
Great school.
Had
some issues through my time there as far as like dealing with bureaucry, but it was all really good instruction for me and probably prepared me really well for the film industry.
Was it hands-on or was it
super hands-on?
Okay, I feel like that's the way to go with film school, honestly, because I feel like sitting there and like just like listening or like reading a textbook about how to make a movie is just too
not the same.
I wouldn't learn like that.
I would say my whole opinion about film school. This is my little rant
about it. Let's hear it.
Because like I'm very appreciative of my time at Chapman. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's for everybody, especially even in the film industry.
I agree with that.
I think people could, if you can get a cheaper education,
which I'm sure you could. I mean, I feel like my film school,
I
was like,
it's expensive,
we'll get into that.
But I guess what I mean is like, getting a degree in something like psychology or history or just understanding story, even creative writing, and then doing film stuff, I think can actually be super beneficial. Right. And the most important thing, and this is what Chapman is good at. So like, if you're considering a film school, this is why I do endorse Chapman.
Okay.
Every single weekend, there is something working. You can go and work on a set. And there's tons of them.
Like student sets or?
Student sets,
yeah.
Because starting your freshman year, you make short films.
Right.
Sophomore year, you make what's called the the IP, the intermediate production.
Then
you do an advanced production. Then you do a thesis film.
Yeah.
And again, I've never been to any other film school.
Yeah.
I've just heard things. And like, I know, at least I believe at USC, it's like, you don't really get to make a thesis film.
Yeah, USC is a little
different. One of several directors.
I think you get like selected or something, which I feel like do you pitch it and then it's like who has the best pitch? I feel like that's probably how it goes. So I feel like it'd be just messed up if you were like, you gotta go. Like, it's just like teacher's pick. It'd be like, well, why? You know what I mean? But I mean, my film school was like that too. Like, it was first week or weekend, they were like, we're going to Universal Studios backlot. You guys are shooting a mise en scene. I was like, what does that even mean? I didn't even know that meant like back then.
Oh yeah.
And then like, it was like more basic beginner stuff in the beginning because it was like, not everyone had camera knowledge. I was one of them. I didn't know anything going into film school. I was just like, movie movies, like I was like, I want to be around that. I want to, make movies, but I didn't know like all the positions, all the terms. Like I just kind of like, I was just one of those people that thought to like turn on the camera.
Right.
And then you like shoot a movie.
Right.
I didn't realize like how many people it takes to like, make a film, but that's kind of what film school taught me as well. But
yeah, I mean, I think that is the
it's
benefit
just so
of film school.
expensive. Like, I don't think it's necessary for it to be that expensive. Like, I get it. Like, you're using certain equipment and stuff, but we ended up paying that. I don't know if you guys did, but we paid an equipment fee.
Yeah, I mean, we had things like that.
You did too?
I mean, again, I was very fortunate. I had scholarship and stuff going to Chapman. Chapman offers a lot of scholarships, which is really great.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's also an incredibly expensive school. I mean, it's a private school. It's in Southern California.
Yeah.
Just living cost alone is very expensive.
Do they offer housing?
Yeah, they've got dorms, but the dorm housing is like...
Did you stay in a dorm?
My first 2 years, yeah.
Damn.
But then I moved out because honestly, it was like the same price.
Wow.
And it wasn't like we got a stipend for the housing, really.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it was like my parents, more or less had to pay that one way or the other.
And I know, and I feel like, but if you can't afford it, like, what do you do in that situation? Because I mean, in my situation, like I had to pay half out of pocket and then also take half student loans out.
Right. Oh yeah, and I
so
have
like
loans as well. Yeah.
And it's like I'm totally grateful for the education that I got and like everything that I learned. And I'm like, oh my god, like yay, like amazing. Like I would have never gotten it, like been able to get that experience. But at the same time, I'm like paying back so much money, which I'm like, is it worth it? Like, I mean, it maybe will be worth it when I get like a big movie deal. But as of right now, I'm like, oh my god, like how am I gonna do this? Like
I think I think there is a aspect and benefit to it, especially like if you go to one of the bigger film schools like USC, Chapman, NYU, Tisch, or any of those, whatever, and being able to then get into an internship, right? Because like really, the film school itself is what you're going to take out of it. Yeah, whatever you put into it, you take out of it. But the benefits of paying for that are things like the internship. Yeah, like my sophomore year. It was the summer after my sophomore year. I did an internship with Paramount. That was my first internship. And just having that on the resume got me my next internship. Got it. And so that...
Do you think because you went to Chapman, it like got you on, like you were able to like get into Paramount, or like... Yeah. What do you think that was the...
I mean, I like to think it was, the interview and my own talent.
Well, yeah,
but
of
like,
course.
But that, I think without it, I would not have gotten the interview.
Like just being able to like get in the door, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's huge. And like I ended up interning at Atlas Entertainment. That's a production company that run by Charles Robin. They do like all the Batman movies, all the Superman movies, all that kind of stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but like
what was that like for an intern? Like
it was fantastic. Yeah. But what I was gonna say just real quick about that is I would not have gotten that, I think, without Chapman on my resume. Yeah. Because so many people there had gone from Chapman to there, or stuff. So like that it was kind of like another Chapman student. Let's bring him. Yeah. And I think USC and UCLA, they all have that same effect.
That makes sense. So it's almost like you are paying for the connections as well, in a sense.
Yes, for sure. Now, what I've heard other film schools do that Chapman didn't really do is they have more like direct programs to place people at internships. Yeah. Whereas at Chapman, I had to go find it. Like there wasn't really like this semester you have to take an internship. Yeah. It was like I noticed other kids were looking for internships and I went, maybe I should be doing this too. Right.
So, and do you feel like the internships like really helped you like get like did you learn more things that you didn't know, or did it like just get you connections, or like or what do you feel like you gained out of that?
I think as far as like the film business, that's where I learned all that stuff. As far as like the networking and interactions and what's going on behind the scenes and, just reading a script or covering a desk or rolling calls. Production wise, that was all from school. Like picking up a camera, being a grip, being an electrician, like trying all those things. Set etiquette, things like that. That's definitely the big benefit of going to a film school.
That's true. I feel like you do learn set etiquette, and like you maybe wouldn't know that if you didn't go to film school. And it's kind of it is important to have, because there's a certain set etiquette that
I think at the bottom line it's get in production, get on set, even if you want to be like a producer just in an office like doing like accounting and stuff, like even then I think for film it's important to have been on set to get an idea of what that's like, and learn that etiquette, because it'll teach you so much about the business, and so for those who can't afford to go to film school or maybe don't want to or whatever, if you can get on set, you have a friend who can bring you on as a PA, might pay, but like, I didn't ask if we can curse on this podcast.
Oh,
but
my
I'm
God,
assuming you can.
It's the rated R podcast.
Yeah. Like, the title kind of gives it away.
No, everyone's like, it'll like slip out, and they're like,
oh wait,
and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Please.
What I was saying is like, just getting on set is so important, I think.
Yeah. So after you interned, did you?
Oh, sorry. You asked me what it was like at.
Oh yeah, Atlas. Exactly. Because I personally have never done an internship. So, but I've always thought about it, and I was interested. And then somehow it just never really worked out, because when I was at the New York Film Academy, it was really weird because so I was like, I'm gonna have to work. Like, there's no way I can't like not work while I'm in school. Like, I just can't do that. So I had asked them. I was like, hey, like, what's the schedule gonna be like? What are the classes? And like, they like are a little bit. I don't know if your school did this, but like they made the schedule like for us. Like, it was like pre-planned. Like. It wasn't like, I'm going to pick my classes, like what time, and like, this is what my Friday, this is what my Monday is going to look like. It was like, this is what your Monday through Friday is going to look like. On these weekends, you're going to have workshops. Like, so like, basically I couldn't like have a regular job because I never knew my schedule. It was, like I didn't have control over it basically. So for like really 3 years, I was kind of just like riding the wave of like going with the flow of like what my school was giving me. And it was cool, but it was also like very difficult to manage a job or get an internship, because it like I needed to commit to like school, but I wouldn't be able to commit to like anything else basically, and it was like really weird. So I kind of just never like had the time for it. And then when I did graduate, it was like during COVID, unfortunately, and I was kind of like, do I like get a job or do I get an internship? And I was like, I was still interested in the internship process, but I was like, I need it to be paid, which is that common?
Right. So I was fortunate, and the internships I found, I sort of purposefully found that they paid me.
Okay, yeah.
The Atlas one didn't pay a ton, and it but it gave mileage and stuff, and those meals that it was enough.
I'm like, sounds like my job now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not much different than what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I think that's the key, is just getting a job in the industry at that entry level will teach you so much. And that is essentially what an internship is these days.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember back, but there was like a whole lawsuit with Sony. And so now internships have to follow certain protocols, because like essentially the film industry was, using interns, and they still do through PAs and assistants to do all the work. And so some interns essentially sued a production and helped lay the groundwork for more strict rules on like what an intern can and cannot do.
Right. Yeah.
So that
which
they're not, being abused.
Yeah.
It still happens.
Yeah.
It's still
I'm sure some people still get away with it.
I mean,
and that's in every field too. Like, it's probably not just in the film industry, but like,
it's just
interns are gonna get the shit end of the stick. They're gonna.
I mean, not just interns though.
Like, you're like, whoa.
It was like assistants and PAs.
You're like, back it up.
I mean, it's people not just out of school. It's people who've been in it for a while. I mean, everyone below the line in the industry is kind of getting a short end of a stick.
Which is already, like, when you hear the term below the line, doesn't that just sound fucked up?
Right, it does, doesn't
it? Like, it just sounds like why below the line? Like, why can't you just say, like, the rest of the crew or something? Like, why does it have to be so, like, I don't know. I feel like it's just so in your face.
I don't know the entire origin of it. I know it has something to do with accounting and spreadsheets, and, like, there's a break in the budget between, again, the above the line, very expensive people, and then the below the line, which is everybody else, more or less.
Okay. I mean,
but it does sound derogatory.
It still sounds, I get where you're coming from with that, and I get, like, I can totally visualize it too, like when you're like doing the counting process of it. But I'm just kind of like,
no,
like,
it still feels
we can adapt to something like more appropriate. I feel like
I feel like
it just sounds so aggressive. Like, it's just so like, below the line and then above the line. It's like, what you really think like these people are like better? It just sounds like like I just feel like if someone who wasn't in the film industry and heard that, like, if they heard that term, I just feel like they'd be like, what the fuck?
I mean, like, there's quite a few things in terms in the film industry that people would be shocked to learn about.
What do you think is like
I mean, the hours alone.
No, I know. My mom's always like, she calls me, she's like, where are you? You didn't talk to me. And I was like, I'm still working. She's like, still? Like,
it's been
hours.
She's
like, I texted you this morning, you said you were working. And I was like, still here, still doing this. But
I mean, my schedule very often on production, especially working in COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
When we have to be there earlier than everybody else.
Oh my God, I know. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Oh my God.
I can segue this into how we met. Working on the offer, I was on the COVID compliance team, which is hired by production.
Yeah.
In some cases, depending on the studio, it's a separate company, but still works for production.
Got it.
And in the case of some studios, like I've heard, like with Disney and stuff, they just hire a team,
like internally. A whole team, and that's
so
like
it's just a department.
That sounds very Disney. Disney's
it
like
does. Right? So then they can control it.
They're like, fuck it, we're just gonna hire a whole team.
I didn't say that. But point being is that I would show up at like 4 a.m. To a crew call would be 6:30. So I'd be there at 4.
I know, like that. Okay, like that's what I would think too. I was like, I swear, like they're not even coming until like 2 hours later. Like it always felt like we were there 2 hours earlier. When I'm like, why 2 hours? Like why not just like an hour?
Yeah, well, because they would call you guys essentially like half an hour to an hour after us.
Yeah.
So like Jason and I would get there. We'd start setting up. We'd be doing our thing.
Yeah.
We weren't always on time.
Yeah.
But we would get there before you guys.
Yeah.
You guys would show up.
Yeah.
With the Santa set stuff.
Yeah.
We'd set you up.
Yeah.
And by then, any of the early pre-calls would then be able to come. So that's why sometimes nobody showed up, because those people just decided they didn't want to test at that time.
Yeah.
But they had the option to show up at like, if we were there at 4, they had an option to show up at 5:30 before everybody else.
Right.
And then sometimes it was like, the rigging grips, the electrics, everyone working on the stages prepping.
Yeah.
They were supposed to show up earlier. Yeah. But they would go start working first when they shouldn't.
Which defeats the whole purpose of the whole situation of like...
And that was a whole different can of worms. But,
I can't even imagine like what it was for you, because it's so interesting too, because like, we were in like same location, same spot, same time, but like you and I had very different experiences during this job because we had different roles also.
Right,
and you were there longer and had to like deal with the crew more hands-on. For me, it was more like, this is also like how we met, like we got hired, the company that I work for got hired on to do the COVID testing for the production. And Zach's one of the first like people we call, like, hey, where do we set up, like, do we put things here, like who are we testing, like so we have that communication with him. And over time, like we started to talk and get to know each other and just kind of be like, what are you trying to do here, because essentially most people are trying to do more than just COVID stuff, at least for us in our situation.
Because hopefully someday the department won't exist, so like once that happens,
which is crazy to think, like that's how we met, and like we've been doing this all like for 2 years now, but like eventually, like hopefully this ends, right? But that also means like bye-bye to our job. But hopefully we can move into something else production wise.
So that's an interesting thing to follow up on. We can come back to it later, but what I've been hearing about it is that there's a chance that they will sort of shift the COVID compliance team and morph it with health and safety to have a sort of more robust safety team on set. We'll see if that actually happens.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, will that actually happen?
But that's what I've heard. Which sounds great. I think it's a good idea.
I think it's but I don't know if they're actually going to do it, because you know how like they're already making such a big deal about it on set, like I have to COVID test, I have to do this, like blah, blah, blah. So I just feel like if they can avoid dealing with like angry crew members and them bitching about like having to do this extra step, they're probably just not going to want to deal with it.
And I think, and again, this could be a whole podcast in and of itself.
I know, right?
But what I've been hearing about is the idea would be that we would have sort of like, it wouldn't be testing. It wouldn't be necessarily constant PPE. We wouldn't have monitors. But it would be that the health and safety team would be responsible for coming in sort of before, during, and after a set. Make sure it's kind of sanitized, help reduce the risk of things like flu, COVID, other things. And then have a health screening. So it wouldn't be nearly as intense. So I think the crew members would actually... The ones who are still angry about this stuff might actually enjoy us being there, because it's like we're there to see like, oh man, my hands are so dirty. Oh, here's a sanitizing wipe. We're not there to be like, hey, put your mask on. It's a little bit different. That's true. I feel like if it's more about like sanitation and just like, oh, let me help clean surfaces. That would be the intention.
Instead of like being like, put your mask on, sir, or like change your mask. Like people do get annoyed about that. Crew member
comes to set and we notice they're sniffling and coughing all day and be like, hey, are you feeling okay? Like, been around anyone who's had the flu? And they're like, and then we can avoid that, so
it's not like a domino effect on set. Exactly. Oh my god, so it was crazy to see like the difference between variants too, because like more crew members ended up getting sick. But when we first started, I never saw like any positives on set. It was pretty pretty smooth. And
because you started in August, right?
I started like end of September.
Oh, end of September. Oh, so I actually started a little bit before
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
So because that was around the time that we had the vaccine.
Right.
Delta was actually like dying down.
Right.
So it was kind of that golden period between Delta and Omicron where things felt like, maybe we're gonna go back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. And it was Omicron. Like, it was still like pretty hot in September, honestly. So it was it still felt like summer, even though it wasn't. Because I remember when I first started on the offer, it was end of September and I was wearing shorts because it was so hot.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I feel like that might have been a factor to like maybe why it was more managed, because I feel like it doesn't do as well in heat. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Don't come after me.
Right,
They're like, who? But I feel like
I'm not a medical professional either. I know. Anything I say here, please don't sue me.
Don't try any of this at home either. And I was kidding. Right. No. So anyway, I was like, okay, this is good. Like, it's just you're on set. You're like checking people in. Like here and there, you're gonna get some people that don't want to necessarily do this, but eventually, like, they're gonna get used to it. It's part of the routine. And then things were flowing pretty smooth. And then I guess like third or fourth wave, I don't even know. But like anyway, Omicron hit, and it was like right after everyone got boosted. So it's like people were like feeling side effects from like the booster or they got hit or whatever. And the crazy part is like some people didn't even have symptoms. And that was kind of like what was happening. And then people would spread it. And then it was just a mix of that. And then like certain departments not necessarily always wanting to get tested before. And
it was also Thanksgiving and Christmas back to back as Omicron emerged. Yes. So people were going home or going out of state.
That's what I was talking about.
But people just not necessarily taking all the precautions because they didn't think they needed it because of all the Delta safety.
Right. And no one's going to be like, oh, it's me, or like, I'm the one, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to like think like, hey, like I was safe. I was fine. Right. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes it just happens. Like, you never know. And like this one was super transmissible. So like on a production where there's like 200-300 people, honestly, it's kind of bound to happen. But
where you have an entire team, which I won't mention, that didn't really wear masks when we weren't looking. Yeah. One of them gets it, suddenly 20 of them gets it.
Right. And I think the protocol was, what was it, like more than 3 departments get it, the show gets shut down or something?
It depended. It was really...
Like, there's like different rules.
Yeah, and of course there was... Because the protocols kind of kept changing, especially as we discovered more about Omicron and... and then you kind of have... And that was a frustration for the crew big time. Like, the changing protocols.
It's
like, well, you have to change
But you kind of you have to adapt. Like, if you're going to be, like, able... If you're, like, deciding, like, I'm going to shoot a show during, a pandemic, there's gonna be like stuff that comes with it. Like, it's not gonna be like your usual smooth shoot that you're used to, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you're gonna try to go about it as best as you can and you want it to run smooth, but like you're literally shooting during a pandemic with all these people. Something's gonna happen. Like, you have so many different personalities, you have so many different beliefs, like so many different point of views. So it's like you get kind of like, it is what it is. It's what I'm trying to say.
No, totally. But like, and we always strove as a department to try to find the simplest way to maximize safety.
Which I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate
like, I feel like you guys handle, like, because I mean, like I said, my job has been on different sets too. Like, you guys were like our bigger client for sure. But we had a couple other shows too. And I just always felt like it like was the most smooth and we got along best with like the offer. Like everyone was just really like I don't know, the communication was there, I feel like. And I feel like that's what you need on a big set, especially when you're dealing with like such big
strove for that.
situations like COVID. Like, someone having a positive, like, you don't want to make a big deal about it, but like you don't want to let them go back to production because that could literally mess everything up. So you have to like, approach it like assertive enough, but like not where it comes off like mean, where like like
I would say the thing I would share too is like, because I mean, you don't want to alarm the crew, you don't want to start a panic.
Exactly.
But if someone does show up to set with COVID, they may not know it, and so you're telling them for the first time that they have a pandemic virus.
So you're breaking the news to like you're that face.
So many crew members who I shouldn't say so many, the couple that I was around when they tested positive on set, and I had to pull them aside and then send them to my boss. Because he's the one who, I didn't have an authority to send anyone off set. But the minute we see a positive, it's like, you got to isolate this person. So telling them that, you could tell that all of a sudden it became very real for them. And they got very scared. And I always had a lot of sympathy for that. Even for the guys who were like dicks to me up until that point. I still felt bad when they got it. Because it was of course. Yeah, I understand how scary that could be.
Yeah, because like, you never know if your body's you know, like, unfortunately, you don't know if your body can handle it the way that you would want it to. Like, I feel like you just kind of have to be put in that situation and find out.
Well, and we know so little about the long-term effects. I mean, it hasn't been around long enough.
I know.
So it's scary.
I know. Literally, like, I'll feel something like off or different. I'm like, oh my God, it's from the vaccine. I start to get worried. Yeah. I trip myself out. But no, I mean, at the same time, I am actually still standing. I have not got it yet.
Well, as far as you know. That's the thing too, is like,
and I know. And then there's this like crazy rumor going around. I don't know if it's true, but it's like, oh, if you can last to like end of February, you have a good chance of not getting it, which I don't know if that true, exactly. Like, I'm just like,
I think it's complete rumor.
Yeah, I think it's a rumor too.
So from what I understand, because I try to stay up to date on as much of stuff as possible to do my job as effectively as I can. What I've been hearing is that we should expect, essentially, and again, not a medical professional, don't sue me, don't take anything, but just what we're preparing for as a department is probably some sort of new variant in the summer, maybe early to midsummer.
No, so you guys, it's gonna go into summer.
Oh, for sure, I think.
Yeah.
Some people will say, "Oh, yeah, I think we got 6 more months of the department," but that's been happening every 6 months of the last 2 years. So like,
reality check at its finest here right now.
But
like,
just listening to different scientists, people from the CDC, people from the NIH, stuff like that, just looking at different reports. Feels like we should expect at least 2 more variants within the next year.
That's
then
so
hopefully,
crazy.
Knock on wood, it'll start to calm down as a virus will have developed enough immunity. There'll be enough boosters, things like that it'll become more like the flu. Not necessarily in effectiveness, because it's going to be different than influenza, but to the way we can mitigate it, control it, and not feel so in danger of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, okay, like not like those big flus or like the flu. Nothing's been cured like that. It's just been found a way to adapt around it. Like,
well, I mean, it was a global pandemic, much like this.
Right. So it's like this might be one of those situations where, like,
I mean, every year you have to get a new flu shot. That's dealing with a new variant, much like COVID. I mean, influenza's been around since at least 1912.
Crazy to think about that? That is so wild. And like, didn't they say they were gonna make like some pill like where you can like take it and it's gonna be like kind of like the vaccine? I don't know. Like,
supposedly they've been trialing that.
I mean, I'm sure in the future it will be like that. Like, you probably don't have to like get it injected all the time, but that's pretty crazy to think.
Well, and the hope of the medical community is that like like right now we take these boosters, it'll probably be every 6 months or so. Probably in the near future you'll start hearing about a 4th booster. But eventually the hope is that it could be a yearly thing like influenza. However, influenza is what they call an endemic virus. It's come to this point where it doesn't just burst and have these huge peaks like Omicron or something. I was just reading an article on was it CNBC by a doctor from the CDC who was saying like, I don't think it's ever going to be endemic. It seems like it's always going to be pandemic type. But that doesn't mean it can't be.
I'm like, reality.
I know, sucks. But it doesn't mean we won't like get away from masks eventually. It just means that our protocols.
Honestly, for me, it's that. Like, I feel like I can deal with like getting vaccinated every year, like doing what I need to do. But like, it's the masks all the time, every day, all day for the rest of our lives. Like, that would be crazy. Like, I'm used to it at work and like dealing with it, like, when I'm around people, but it does change a lot of things, you know what I mean? Well, like, even just like with podcasting, it's like, what, like, I can't podcast with like a mask on, like, you wouldn't even be able to hear us.
Well, like our actors on set, we don't like when they're shooting, they have to take the mask off and they put it back on. And to me, and this is what coverage department's all about. It's about the protocol. It's about making decisions intelligently, and with enough information. Like, I'm vaccinated. We work together. I test constantly, so bringing me into your house is a pretty small risk.
Exactly. And I get tested like 3 times a week for my job. So literally, like, I know, but honestly, every time I get tested, I'm like, is this the one? Like, is this? Because like everyone around me has been dropping like flies. Like, so I'm just like, oh no. Like, but
again, it's calculated risk and it's calculated safety. And I think the biggest thing is public spaces. Like, and I think as a society, and this is just my own personal opinion, is we need to adopt more of a culture where we do wear masks. If you feel sick at all, just at least for the day.
Don't be like so cool to spread it all the time. Because like, I'll be out in public and I hear someone just like sneezing. It's like a spray zone, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, especially before like this whole mask stuff, like before the pandemic, people didn't care. It was just like sneeze and like,
I mean, I haven't been sick in like 2 years basically because I wash my hands better now. I wear masks. I sanitize. And I think that's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
Because like
that's huge. That's great.
There is herd immunity. That's a thing that exists.
That is a thing that
probably
exists.
not happening with COVID.
Yeah.
It technically has not happened with influenza. Like we have a stronger resistance because it's been around so long, and we've our bodies have developed antibodies over generations. Right. And maybe someday, COVID will be more like that. But, I think people think that because we dealt with influenza that way, that was the way to deal with this.
Right. They're just going off of like what has no, they're totally different diseases. And oh god, yeah.
We could let's go back to film. That's more exciting.
What is your plan for when COVID is over? Right. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what is your main thing that you want to pursue? Yeah.
So my goal is to direct.
That's the end goal. Yeah. So you've always known you wanted to direct?
Yeah, I'm one of those kids that like throughout my entire school, someone's like, "What do you want to do?" It's like, "I want to do film. I want to direct."
Okay.
Like, since I was like 5.
I get that. No, I feel that. I feel the same way. Like, I probably was more around the age of like, okay, so like 8 years old, I was like, I thought I wanted to be an actress. Sure. So, but I didn't. That's not really what it was. I wanted to do. I wanted to be involved in it. I just didn't know like the different positions. So I was like, yeah, I want to be in the movies. And so like it was like actress. And then like around 12, I was like, I still want to be an actress, but I also want to be like just making the movies, which I thought was just the cameraman.
Right. Well, yeah.
So like even when I started,
you don't have a concept.
Yeah. So even like during film school though, I knew of the director, like I knew there was a director and I knew all of that, but I didn't know like what exactly the director does and kind of like what he was in charge of. Like I just kind of thought it was like, oh yeah, like they talk to the actors, but I honestly didn't put much thought into it more than that. So then when I started film school, I was like, I think I want to do like cinematography. But then during cinematography class, like like something was missing. Like it wasn't like what I thought. Not that it was like bad or anything, but it just like didn't hit me the way that like directing hit me.
I had so many film school friends like that who went in as cinematographers and went, oh no, I want to be directing.
Yeah, because then I took my first directing class and I was like, this is it. Like it just like literally clicked. Like I was like, I want to be around the actors. I want to really be able to get those emotions out. I want to like be in charge of the like creative visual, like everything, like the visually appealing stuff, the color palette, like just like, I don't know, like it just was like so cool. And I was like, that's what I want. Like, but at first, like the first semester of film school, I didn't know like what I was doing.
No, I mean nobody does.
So, but you did. So
I mean, I knew I wanted to direct. Yeah. And so my whole story is, and it's kind of cliche, but it also shows how much like to work on film sets, you kind of have to be a little bit of a masochist.
You have to be flexible.
The hours suck. Yeah, it's brutal. It's rough. But you love it for whatever reason.
It's not glamorous like you would think. Like I feel like you think like movie like red carpet Hollywood but it's really
it's a hard job.
Like there is some of that, but like
I mean, it's certainly not like working on an oil rig. Like that's But like. Film industry is still very difficult on you. It puts a lot of pressure. It's not thankful. It's rough. But so for me, like when I was really young, like 5, I saw Star Wars. I'm a fucking nerd. I love Star Wars. I'm obsessed. But which is interesting for me is like, and I'm one of those people that knows a lot of facts about Star Wars way too much. But I think my expertise comes into the making of Star Wars. Because when the DVDs came out... DVDs. I know, right? There was a documentary on there called Empire of Dreams.
Okay.
Which went over the making of the first 3 Star Wars movies.
Oh, shit. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Because I don't even know. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I have my general knowledge of, like, how they would make it. But, like, knowing, like, the details...
You should watch the documentary. Yeah,
it's really
interesting. Because it was a disaster. It was one of my favorite things on the offer, actually.
Oh.
So there was one of the days where I was on there, and they had... I guess the guy who ran Golf and Western, I cannot remember his name right now.
Okay.
Played by Vern Gorman in our
show. I know exactly. Yeah.
But so they had these bottles of classic Dr. Pepper. I guess he really liked Dr. Pepper.
I like Dr. Pepper.
But of course, this actor is going to have to drink out of it or pour his glass and drink out of the glass. Like 10 times. Yeah. Maybe 15, depending on how the things go. Yeah. If he's lucky, maybe only 3 or 4.
Right.
But so he's not going to want to take a drink of Dr. Pepper every time. And they're going to have to keep refilling the bottle.
Right.
Or have,
imagine if it's alcohol, he's just like, I'm smashed.
Right, yeah. And that definitely happened on our show too. But it was really cool to see them take essentially seltzer water, pour it into the bottle like through a funnel, mix in a little bit of food dye to make it look like Dr. Pepper, but also still be bubbly enough to be convincing. And then when you poured it, it still got the fizz and everything. Yeah. But it was just like food dyed soda water. So every time I took a sip, he's just drinking water basically.
Oh, wow. Even with Dr. Pepper, that's so interesting.
And he still had a spit bucket even then. So wow. Yeah, that's another thing too with film and food and drink. Yeah, it's like you always have there's the document or the behind the scenes, like what do you call it? On DVDs when you can like do the commentary.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley talks about that for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
that big scene where she sits down with Barbossa and she's eating all the food.
Oh shit! I didn't think about that.
She turned 19 like on that show.
No way.
She was super young, and so she was like, I'm a strong new actor, and I'm just gonna eat the food and swallow it.
Yeah.
She kind of refused to
spit it out. Yeah.
And so, that food has been sitting there and it's like this cold, gross turkey leg. And
ew.
She has to keep eating it and taking bites of it. It's like, no. Always have a spit bucket.
That is so funny. Yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense. Because even when you watch like Hot Ones, they have a spit bucket, but I just thought because like it's so spicy. But
I think it is part of that for them.
Right. But that makes sense too, like on set. Because you're not gonna you're like, okay, wait, hold on, and then walk all the way over.
And I do think with Hot Ones, from my understanding, they make an effort to try to keep the wings warm.
That's nice. That's
and not
because
gross.
Like cold wings, and then it's like really spicy on top of that. You're just like, oh shit, like this is not enjoyable.
No, they definitely prepare in that show, from what I can tell.
That's so cool. Yeah. What are some little like insights, things that you saw that maybe
like people wouldn't expect,
Yeah, like or on The Offer that you.
I'm trying to think. I mean, that sort of thing is again really cool. Same thing with the food. I mean, that happened on The Offer. There was a couple different dinner parties, and it like they make the food look really good.
Who is making the food?
Cold.
Is there like
props department?
Props department is okay. They're in charge of that as well.
Yep. So like I don't know if you knew Dustin or saw him, but he made and his food. Team were working on that all the time.
Oh, that's so cool. Now that because we tested everyone and I would get their names.
Right.
I actually know, like I'll be like, oh yeah, I do know that person, and it's like, oh, they're this department, they're in charge of that, and it's like cool to see like what they created and made on set. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love movie magic in general. Like,
oh my god,
awesome.
I know.
One of the coolest things that really, I wouldn't even call it movie magic in a sense, was them rebuilding sets from The Godfather, especially the opening scene at the wedding where he's like, you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding. They rebuilt that whole set.
Wow, that's amazing.
And they didn't have because I was talking to the set designer. They didn't have any of the old blueprints or anything really. So they had to use photos from the movie and photos from production from back then to try to match stuff and find the right looking couch and
that's so cool.
Build the walls the same way.
And all that stuff. It was really that's so unique. That's really cool. That's really cool.
So stuff like that. That's really cool to see.
And the budget on that was huge, right? Like the show
in general, especially for a miniseries.
Was it a bigger, one of the bigger budget shows you've worked on?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely one of the biggest budget shows that I've ever been on.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Though this next show I'm going to be on should be similar in
just as big. Cool. Yeah, I mean.
It's another Paramount show. So.
It's a Paramount show? Okay, that's what I was wondering. I
think it's another Paramount Plus exclusive, but I'm not positive.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that's supposed to start in 2 weeks, or is that already starting?
The Offer?
No, the American.
Oh.
That one started.
Yeah. I don't know if I can talk about it yet or not.
No,
it's an announced show, but I don't know. NDAs and all that.
NDAs. Right. Sorry, can't talk about it.
We can talk about whatever. Yeah.
I know. Are you gonna? So you have Paramount Plus?
I don't yet actually. No.
So this whole time I thought I didn't have it, and I was like, I'm gonna have to buy it. I'm gonna have to get it, and then turns out we do have it. So I was like, oh shit, I can watch The Offer. So premiere party, we can watch The Offer here.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I know it'd be super fun.
Yeah. I do plan to watch it. I'm curious.
I do. No, I definitely want to see it because I saw the trailer the other day, and I was able to recognize all the locations we were at because we had to be there super early. And it was always so funny. We'd be at a location and it'd be super dark, pitch black. You can't see where you are. You're like, I don't know what anything looks like. Sun comes up and you're like, oh, this is where I'm at. Yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely a really cool experience though. It was really cool to see how it all goes down. And also when they use all the green screens and stuff, when they would make it seem, because they would put it on a freaking seemed like a tractor. What was that thing? When they carry.
Oh, you're talking about the lift?
They carry those big screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was huge, to make it look.
16,
I think they did that for the scene with a rally or something.
Yeah. Well, so there's a scene in it where they're at a Italian American civil rights rally where somebody speaks.
Yeah.
And it takes place in New York at it's a famous train station.
Okay.
But so they didn't want to fly to New York and bring all the actors, and so they just built a stage with a bunch of green screen, and they did a lot of that actually throughout the show.
I know.
To help make things look like New York.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that's pretty crazy because, I mean, seeing it like with your own eyes is just so different than like watching like a behind the scenes like video of stuff. Like, so for me, I was like fangirling. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is so cool. Like just walking around and being able to see them recreate, especially like a time period piece too, because it was like in the late 80s, right?
No, it was 70s.
70s. Oh shit, 70s. So like just being able to see like
them sort of recreate
it's so cool.
And take everything
the
back
cars,
to their,
the outfits, the makeup.
There when they shot 42nd Street, where they had like snow on the ground and stuff.
Yes.
So that was
oh
cool,
my God.
That's
that was
Broadway in LA.
That was
like,
crazy.
Basically, like you were saying, it was warm in September.
Yeah.
But so they had all this fake snow, and of course all the actors are in jackets, and
that was
redid
so
these
crazy.
storefronts to look like
I was just like walking,
York,
and then I was like, oh my God, wait, there's snow in LA right now. I mean, that was literally the beauty of filming.
That is totally movie magic.
It's just like crazy what you can do, honestly, and what you can do when you have a big budget.
Well, I was gonna say, money solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Budget is always tight, but there's always never enough.
I know. How is that even possible? Like, because like to me, like I'm like, if somebody gave me $1 million, like I feel like I could do so much with it, right? It seems like.
But I think this is a great thing to go into in an entire episode of a podcast that people really don't understand is where does all that money go?
Where does the money go?
It's the people. Like, there's so many people, like 300 people.
Yeah.
You're paying them X amount per day for. In the case of The Offer, I mean, they filmed for
6 months?
7 months, I think.
7 months of filming.
And then there's also pre-production, of course.
7 months, 5 days a week.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, there were some breaks in there because of COVID and holidays and things, but they shot a lot.
Going overtime too.
Right. Yep.
Damn. See, so it's like when you commit to a show, you're committing like months of your life.
Yeah, for hours and hours. I mean, people just don't live a life
for some months. People that doesn't sound like that crazy because like, well, I commit like to the one job for like forever.
Right, but
then
it's the hours.
It's the hours too.
So like my boss and manager, they both were on at the beginning of pre-production, all that kind of stuff, and that started, if I remember correctly, I think in March of 2021.
Yeah.
So they were from March and April and May. They were working 40 to 50 hours a week, depending on just how the demands were and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was all pre-production. Yeah. And then when they started filming, I think it was in June, that goes from, 40, 50 hours a week to 12 hours a day, minimum 5 days a week.
Oh my God.
And then, Michael, especially like our supervisor and Bachochin. But our supervisor, had to be there beforehand or at least be up and doing stuff on his computer.
Right.
Interacting with people until way past filming had even stopped.
Right.
So he was working 18-hour days, 5 days a week for
months.
June through January.
Hopefully that's a nice paycheck. Just say that.
I think no matter what, it's not enough.
Right. No, I know because you're just putting that much
and like time. I know he's going to take a break for a little bit because it's just like that's insane.
No, I mean that's so much time.
That is what production is at the end of the day.
That is. Yeah.
It's like you do that, especially as like
and then see when you think about it like that, it's like and you're putting in so much time and effort. Like you want to be the one directing. You want to be at the position that you're like.
Because if you're going to dedicate that much of your life to it,
like you would think like if you're dedicating all that time, to like physically and like your physical and mental well-being, honestly, like you want it to be for your own films as well. But it's like, how do you get there? Like, how do you get to that step where like people will be like, you know what? Yeah,
where they're willing to risk millions of dollars on whether or not you can do it.
That's literally what it comes down to. Is like all those people that we're working for right now, like they were able to prove themselves that they're like worth these millions, So we just have to be this.
And I mean, based on what I saw, they were, I really enjoyed working with everybody we worked with, even the people who were jerks to me.
It's part of it, I guess. And like at least you could look back now and you're like, whatever, like in the moment you're just like so unnecessary.
Well, and tying back to something you said way earlier on, you said something that's like a lot of the A-list talent you meet are actually super nice.
Yeah.
And I have found the people at the very top level,
Well, I'm excited to see where your path takes you directing, and I think as long as you stick to it and like start pitching your stuff, it's definitely gonna happen.
I mean, same here. Like, I mean, just this alone, you're doing so
much. We'll do it together, right? We're on the same path.
Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. So you'll see us, being on set, doing health and safety stuff, but one day you're gonna watch our movies as well. So.
I mean, that'd be pretty dope. So.
No, hey, we can even co-direct.
That'd be sick.
I know. I mean, I've always thought about doing that too. Like, it'd be super fun to like direct with someone else, just to like try it. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Like,
I think it's really interesting too, looking at people like Joel and Ethan Coen or like the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
and how they do that.
And it's possible. We know it's possible. So
Chris Miller, Phil Lord. I mean, there's actually plenty of examples. The guys who do the Avengers movies, getting their names.
Oh my God, who is
it? They're brothers. They also directed episodes of Arrested Development.
Wait, hold on. I totally know. Wait, I know who directed hold on. No, this is bad.
It's slipping my mind. But point being is that there are plenty of examples of that.
There's plenty of co-directors, and we might be one of those one day. And stay tuned because we'll announce it on here if we are.
Right, yeah.
But honestly, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, your journey and how you got here. And I think it's really good insight. So I'm excited to have you back. Yeah. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.